part of the appeal of Twilight is that it's actually a pretty strange book. Parang it's a book about teenage love, and there are many books about teenage love on the shelves, but this one is about a teenage love that is actually similar to the old-fashioned, overwhelming, passionate love that you find, parang in older forms of literature.
I think the fact that I can't put it down makes it well written for me. Because after I finish a chapter, it's like, oh, I have to move on, I read it late at night and, it's like 4 a.m. and I'm done with the chapter, but I have to read it because it's really intriguing for me.
I would like more to relate on the fairy tale thing that a lot of teenagers out there still want that for themselves. They still have that white wedding, that knight in shining armor that will come save the damsel in distress. Everyone wants that. Everyone wants a happy ending. So you're rooting for the characters in the book to win.
I mean, I could relate to a lot of, some of the emotions. I mean, not because I want to sleep with a vampire, but, there's a lot of, the angst, the whole thing about feeling like an outsider. Everyone can relate to that. And so I put myself in her shoes by remembering what it was like for me growing up in high school. So,
I was in line I was carrying another book. this teenager in front of me was giggling about it, and she was like reading the back. I was like, okay, let's try this out. Okay, so that's how it's done. And I've read, yes, I will disclose it, I've read all 4 books. I really understand the appeal. I mean, I get why girls are going crazy. Edward Cullen's a god. I understand it, but it doesn't mean that I have to like it.
I would have to agree. I mean, when you're reading Twilight, you kind of realize that yes, the target market really is young women, but I see a lot of guys also reading the book, obviously, and it's more than the love story for them. It's also the fact that there's a little bit of action in it, and a little bit of the trivia also that you get about the history of the Cullens of vampires. The Volturi also are talked about briefly on it, and then kind of all these things that make up that whole, that teaser, like what we were also talking about earlier on, that will kind of lure you into getting the next book maybe, and then delving more into the story of vampires and stuff.
When you read about a romantic love story and then you put vampires and mystery in it, then you really get like, especially Edward Cullen's character, he's so slick and his words are so, he's his tone, the way Bella describes him as he floats when he walks. You really get that picture, and then you get killings. You're looking for that same guy. I mean, for teens, they really think that that's like the dream guy.
He does come across as perfect. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, the stories from her point of view.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I found it a little bit tiring, but I'm being immersed in that point of view for the duration of the entire novel. But it does work. They do come across as perfect. Actually, one of the things that I thought parang was interesting about it was the notion of family. The fact that, the main character, Bella Swan, for example, came from a broken family. And, she not only came from a broken family, but had to live with a dad that she couldn't quite relate to. But on the other hand, you have the vampires, and they're so close-knit. I mean, if you want to talk family values, look at the Cullens.
It's like an incestuous family, though.
Well, yeah, sort of.
Because they all pair up, right?
But they're not related in any way.
Actually, her relationship with her father, I don't understand that at all, actually. He's so, it's like, I mean, he says that he cares, but none of his actions show that he does care.
Wow. The mother
I don't understand that.
really not much interaction with the mom. Just email them. The email just really short. Hi mom, I'm doing chores. Bye.
But she didn't really explore it so much.
It's really just Bella, Edward.
Right, exactly. They weren't really that important, I guess.
All the relationships in the book are really creepy if you think about it. I mean, seriously, it's almost like it's pedophile propaganda. And I will say this because he's a 117-year-old man.
Trapped.
Trapped in the 70-year-old.
He's 117 years old, and he's stalking this kid. Seriously. He watches her sleep in her house, in her room.
Oh, yeah.
And he follows her around. isn't that creepy? When you think about it, it's really
Obsession.
creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Does it
It's
make it
basically your lolo, going after.
Well, not just your lolo.
Yeah, exactly.
Your great.
It's so creepy. I mean, no. There's a big. When I was thinking about this, like I forget Interview with the Vampire. Forget the character's name. Kirsten Dunst played her in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the.
Claudia.
Yeah, this is like the exact opposite of it. She was like a mature woman trapped in a, in a kid's body. So there's good like interaction there. Like she wants to, she's all grown up, but she looks like a kid. This is like an old guy who's going for a younger girl. It's scary when you think about it.
I never realized that, but Edward's 100 plus, but his mind is still 17 until now.
Why is it still 17?
There's a part in the book where Bella says, so that's why you talk that way. You don't talk the way most teenagers talk. That threw me off a bit because when I was reading his dialogue, but when I was reading the dialogue for Edward Cullen, he does sound like a teenager. Actually, can't quite picture him. Parang as being the 107-year-old vampire that he actually is. Does it make it creepier or does it make it less creepy that she actually wants him to stalk her? That she herself parang somehow stalking her anyway?
For Bella, like what you said earlier, she's kind of strange. She doesn't really get, the whole vampire, dangerous idea. So with
didn't matter
Edward,
to her.
it didn't matter to her at all. So for her, it was more like, I'm not sure if Edward's gonna stay with me. I want him here with me all the time.
They're infatuated towards each other, the mystery towards him being a vampire, and I don't know what's interesting about Bella.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
The smell.
Absolutely nothing is interesting about that girl. See, he's 117 years old. That's the best he could do? Seriously? Come on.
Maybe because she's not afraid of him.
That's true. Yeah.
But she's so
And
boring
maybe
and she's so
because-
weak.
No, because everyone in the school kind of just took it for granted that, okay, the Cullens, they stay away from us. But no one really kind of probed into it and then talked to them. Unlike Bella, who was the one that was actively trying to initiate this relationship with Edward and the Cullens, trying to draw them outside of the circle they had created for themselves. So maybe that's what makes her special.
I cannot stand her as a character. I think, as a...
You really
as-
find her interesting, Bella.
Not at all. As your lead, the lead character in the book, she's basically there to just have all the guys save her
Yeah.
in some way. And wouldn't you want your heroine to be a little stronger? Stronger. Her character should be a little stronger. I mean, her choices. Nothing about.
Sorry, stronger in what sense?
No, I mean, she is so dependent on Edward. Her whole life revolves around him. All her choices revolve around him. Is that really what you want? I don't know. Let's say like your kid to grow up, emulating.
Yeah.
Some girl who's so obsessed over some guy, and then can't make decisions for herself.
There's this mystery. How did they fall in love so fast? You know how it was after Edward saved Bella, suddenly she's unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him.
Obsessively in
Yeah,
love.
but it's sort of, for me, it's an obsession.
It's sort of like that one of the scenes, parang when they start having lunch in the cafeteria and they start talking about these things and he's asking her all these questions, she's asking him all these questions. And then suddenly the cafeteria is all clear, and everyone's back in their classrooms. Is this healthy? I mean, parang if we were to judge.
I mean, it's kind of hard when you're doing that. I mean, honestly, nowadays, you can't really... It's again that notion that, this is what romance is supposed to be, this is what true love is supposed to be. Everything just goes away when you're talking to the man of your dreams. But in real life, I mean, hello.
I just think the whole we were talking about this earlier again. The whole romance thing, it just happened way too fast, and then at such a it went from one emotion to the exact opposite. It was like hatred at the start, and then it became. I mean, see, this is my problem with it. It's just I know it's a story about vampires, but it's just so unrealistic.
Okay, this is of course debatable, but the author herself has to go on record as saying that, she wrote the book and parang one of the themes that she wanted to explore was the issue of choice, which is why that very stark, very eye-catching cover, parang of the apple, and the epigraph, no, parang the quote from the book of Genesis about the fruit from the
yeah.
tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Again, parang she talks about it, on her website. She goes on record saying that, it's really all about choice. The funny thing is, however, when we read it, and I agree with you that, parang she seems to be driven by something that robs her of choice, that places her in a state of obsession.
I agree with you though that she didn't really have much of a choice. Or
Yeah.
it didn't seem like she made a choice. It was like she just wanted this. This was the only choice.
And I really don't think it's about choice, honestly. I think the cover says it all. It's really about temptation. That if that was really, really her intent, yeah, I think then maybe it might be her failure, because I really didn't see choice in it at all, or conscious choice, because
Yeah.
everything is driven by circumstance, or
By
by
temptation,
Edward, or by temptation.
One of the other interesting things that have popped up, no, parang in the wake of the popularity of the book, is that, but Stephanie Meyer, parang is a Mormon, no, parang parang a pretty, someone whose religious background, parang is pretty much significant, and this I think is where she's coming from with that whole issue of choice. Now, one of the interesting things is that parang there's no sexuality. I mean, sorry, there is sexuality, but there's no actual sex in the book, but the book is just parang it's just steaming with sexuality. It's unrelieved sexual tension all throughout, and sometimes when I read the book, I do feel like you do that, parang it's really written for someone like Bella, someone who's 17, someone who still believes that parang love could be like this, and it would be a good thing if love could be like this. But other times I was reading it, I was thinking all this eroticism told from the point of view of a woman, of a 70-year-old, no, not even a woman, no, let's say a 17-year-old girl, a young girl, okay, a kid, as you yourself said. How did that feel?
It is a little scary. I mean, because we're not just talking about, okay, so she was tempted, but they didn't do anything. Still, she invites the temptation in
Yeah.
day after day after day after
Every
day.
night.
Every single night,
Is this what you look for? I mean, parang when you read a novel targeted towards young adults, parang targeted towards your age group or even someone younger, do you expect parang a certain kind of, I don't know, parang a certain kind of ethical notion to be present there?
For me, I think when younger ones, like 14-year-old, they don't really see the issues that we see. I think they just really focus on, oh, Bella fell in love with Edward, the perfect guy. Oh, they're going to prom. Oh, they're in high school. I think that's the only thing they think about. That's the only thing they think about. But for us, there are a lot of issues, but they don't see it.
There are a lot of conflicting issues in Twilight. I mean, Stephanie Meyer was playing on the close-knit family thing, and then she would also, in the book, Bella was lying to Charlie a lot.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there are a lot of values also that you wouldn't want your kids to pick up.
Yes.
The sneaking him in, all that other stuff also. But then there are other points like, she's really close to her mother, and the Cullens are, very protective of each other and all that. But again, some values are not exactly something you'd want your kids to read about.
I didn't think it was all that bad. Okay, I didn't think it was all that bad. You enjoyed it. Well, you thought it was bad, but you read through all of it anyway.
You got through it.
No, actually, Twilight, I mean, just as a book, it's okay. I really do not hate it. I don't hate it in any way. It's just not my thing.
What actually got me through the book was actually all these confusing issues that we keep
Really?
bringing up here. The fact that I kept having problems with certain things, was what kept me interested actually in reading the book. So, ultimately, parang if she ever decides to revisit this universe, you've read all the books as well, right? If she ever decides to revisit this universe, like what she planned, telling the story, the first novel, from the point of view of Edward Cullen, are you there? Are you gonna read it?
I might, yeah, just to see how it's different from what she did. But my expectations kind of not that high when it comes to if she ever does decide to push through with that book. I mean, how different will it be? Just from Edward's point of view.
Maybe Edward's just describing the smell over and over again. Oh, Bella smells so good.
I want to kill her. Something like that. Chris, are you gonna read it and hate it again?
No,
You think?
I think I'm done. I think I've read 4 books too many. I'm good.